Hi, I'm Anabrese. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today's subject is about texting and how quite often texting can cause miscommunication, and before you even get started you're already kind of breaking up friendships, relationships, whatever, because of the miscommunication that can happen through texting. So we're going to talk about the common problems with texting and what you can do to avoid those common problems, and what you can do instead to basically not be breaking up before you've even got started. Okay, so there's four kind of reasons why a lot of the time the communication just goes astray, and that's because of, in relationships, there are certain things that people are looking for. They don't know that they're looking for these things, but because of their past conditioning, beliefs, growing up, how they saw their parents interact, all these things are playing out in the dynamics in our own connections, our friendships and relationships. So this is also about friendships, not just like romantic relationships. So one, expectations. Everybody's got different expectations of what they're looking for in communication. So if that's not really clear, sometimes texting can be misinterpreted, because somebody is trying to express something, but because they've not spent a lot of time with that person in person, in the written word, it can become muddled up. The actual intention behind the communication, the intention behind the words. So another person can read those words in a completely different way to what you intended, or what the reasoning was that you were trying to put across. So misinterpretation is another thing that can go wrong. And then personal assumptions. So just basically, this is a big one. So if you have personal assumptions that are based on how you perceive this connection, and how you feel it's going, the direction it's going in, and this other person is assuming something completely different, then there's going to be, a misalignment in the communication somewhere. So that's another reason, is just personal assumptions. And again, that can be based on your ideals, your programmings around relationships, and what the intentions are for that particular relationship. And then the next one is just not communicating your feelings. A lot of the time we don't communicate how we actually feel with another person. And so if that's not already become the foundation, if we've not already built a stable foundation around how we're feeling, kind of basically a relationship review. If we don't review our relationships regularly, then there can just be all sorts of assumptions being made. And then when it comes to communication, our own personal standards can get mixed up in that communication. So if I have a standard of around birthdays, for example, and it's not the same standards that you have around that, or standard's not even the right word, but just I guess a belief system or expectation around that. And if that other person doesn't agree with that, then a text message can easily misfire around that situation. Oh, I thought you were going to buy me a gift. Well, you said not to buy you a gift. All these different things, and it very easily can be misinterpreted in texts. And we can't always, because there's no tonality within texts, there's a certain amount, but there's not the personal expression of the voice. So a phone call is much better over texting. And so we'll look at how to avoid these kind of breakups before you've even got started, and why texting's not ideal. And basically it's because it can lead to ambiguity, so misinterpretation. So what to use texts for then? How can we use them more favorably for positive outcomes? and to avoid these potential problems of miscommunication and misinterpretation. So this is just my general advice and tips based on personal experience. Okay, so one of the things we can do is use texts only for arranging, meetings. So basically, keep them very general. It's like, hey, how are you doing today? Blah blah blah. Do you want to meet up for a coffee later? Do you want to meet up for dinner? And then it's like you're arranging to meet with that person in person, rather than having this long winded conversation with them, which I think can also potentially take the magic out of actually meeting in person. Because if you've spoken about all these different things in texting and told them how your day went and how your week went, then what are you going to talk about when you actually meet up? So it's good to keep a little bit of mystery, So I think the texting thing can give away too much information. So it's good to keep a little bit of mystery, and magic for when we're in person talking to people. So using texts for arranging meetings and in-person meetups. Also, you can use text to express positive emotion. So, just saying a quick "I love you" or "Hey, I'm really looking forward to seeing you tonight," or something like that, or sending them a little picture, something that some flowers, or a jiffy, something. Is it called jiffy or jiff? I'm not sure, but anyway, something like that. So you can send a little picture, anything that's a positive message. But number one, a big one, is to avoid debates, to avoid especially political debates, and especially if you don't know this person very well. So if you start getting into these big, deep discussions via text, again, you're going to find that you're disagreeing on points, and it's just going to be this back and forth thing where you're going to disagree at some point. So another one is to avoid personal stuff that you maybe have a problem with. So for example, if this person did something and you're not happy with it, then don't bring it up in a text. Don't say, "Oh, hey, by the way, the other night when you said this and I said that, I felt, hurt by that." Please, please, please don't discuss this kind of thing in a text message. Much, much better to meet up with the person, and it just is more natural. You can really convey to a person, I was feeling this, and then they say, "Well, I thought you meant this," and then you can say, "Well, I thought you meant this," and you can basically clear things up much quicker, much easier. So that's just a little tip from personal experience about that. Another one is to spot the triggers really early. So if you do say something in a text and this other person comes back with a sort of reactive text message that's a bit cold, and there's a cold tone to it, and it's not very pleasant, and you just know right away that it's not coming from a very friendly place, then the likelihood is that they've misinterpreted something you've said or a previous text, unless you were rude to them in the first place. Okay, so again, avoid personal kind of interactions whereby you're not happy with something they've done, or you're trying to convey something very, very personal. Keep personal issues and problems to when you're in person, so you can really discuss things at length. That way, if you say something and it's misinterpreted, you'll hear it yourself and you'll say, "What I mean by that," and you get to explain in further detail. So avoiding triggers and how to spot triggers is really important. You got to do that quite early on, and I'm going to do that in another video, so I'll link it below this one. I'm going to talk about triggers, what they are, and how to avoid them, or how to not how to avoid them, but how to manage them, and what they mean, and how you can overcome any sort of big arguments and flare-ups from a small trigger. So that's another video, and I'll put the link below this one. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Please comment, and if you've got anything you want to say about it. So sending you love and light, and have a great day. Bye.